Hello, this is Keith Lamont, and I'm working on AI War 2. Today, we're doing more build menu revisions. Just trying to get that one of those core pieces of interface nailed down, so we start doing final UI art for the release in October. We just need to get this UI done so we can play this game. I got a couple other high priority fixes because, yeah, you guys can't do a whole lot of testing when the tech menu doesn't work and the waves don't work. So we'll see how far we get in this video. The queue itself needs to use icons. These three items are from the forum post. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't think, the queue needs to use icons. Because the rest of it uses icons. So, also in general, the build queue on the right side of the screen, it's nice to have it out of the way of the sidebar, and have it vertical so it's different from the rest of it, but we just need to move it back to be with the rest of the menu so you're not having to move your mouse back and forth so much. Excuse me. Alright, so those are the two things I'm going to do right now. So, we're looking for the build. Yeah, this is the icon menu. So this shows us how to do the icons. Let me check to see, is there anything I'm missing on how he did this? I want to make sure I've got what Chris did. Yeah, okay, I've got what Chris did for the build menus. Alright, so yeah. This is basically what we'll be doing for these buttons. Now this could be tricky because these are different buttons than what the build queue is using. So yeah, the build queue is using an ordinary button set, not an image button set. So we're just going to switch that over. Let's close all of this. I'll have to make some changes at the XML level to have it load this correctly. So, where are you? Build menu. Here we are. I'll just move that over to the queue. And we're going to copy the button width and height. Because that's pretty important to the appearance of those buttons. Alright, and so this will be and then the width of that is basically going to be 100, just like it won't actually go that far, but to parallel with the type menu. So, Pardon me, it's a little early. Or I've been up for a while. A little bit out of it. Okay. Alright. Just some copy pasta to get this working. And so that I'm marking with an image button, not a normal button. We're gonna get some text on there somehow or other. But so we got the type thing done. Alright. So probably the next chunk that's gonna be different is here. Yeah, because we gotta do a lot of aspect ratio adjustments to make the buttons look right. It's not great, but so it goes. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Now I gotta change the button type itself because we have a button set and a button set controller and a button controller. And so now I need to make the button controller, switch that over from a normal button to a image button. That'll be very similar to this. I mean, really, I should probably actually be doing some degree of yeah, it's like maybe these different buttons should just inherit the same thing. It's not. Yeah, it's not quite that simple. But a lot of it should work. Okay, so we're going to pull some stuff out into this new, so so ship icon button. Some things are common here, some things are not. So one thing is that one reason why these things won't be exactly the same is that for the ones on the build menu itself, there's just an entity type that you're selecting. And in build queue, there's a build queue item or series of them, each of which contain an entity type. So in both cases, we need to be able to get at the entity type, and that's just going to be part of the abstract class here. So we'll look abstract game entity type data, type to build, and we'll just say that's a You have to define a getter for that. And then, yeah, so that makes this code look okay for the most part. And I grabbed so yeah, this is actually gonna need to change. Well, yeah. So just, well, no, you can't have a setter for the build one. So, yeah. There's a naming conflict there. Or don't want to have both the abstract and the concrete class have a field or a member named type to build. So let's just go ahead and copy the rest of the stuff up and see what happens. I'll implement that one abstract thing. Turn that. I guess in theory that'll work. So I'll just make this private. Void set type to build. Because now the code that creates those buttons needs a way to assign the type to build, and it can't use the abstract getter to do that because it's a getter and doesn't have a setter, because the other type of button won't have a setter for it. But here we can just define our own setter method. So type to build. Yeah. All right. We'll use that new method. And there we go. I guess in theory that works. Yeah, the build queue menu is now messed up. It'd be nice to kind of go and test this new way of doing the build menu icons, but I didn't structure it correctly for that. So let's move this out here. So wait, out of the class. I mean, I could reference it from the other file. That would be fine, but I'd rather not have to reference it as an inner type. So this is what we're going to do here. The queue item, ship icon button. So it's not going to have one of these. It's going to have this. I think it's going to have item index too. I'm not sure. Yeah, the other one doesn't have it. We might not wind up needing the index, we'll see. But it needs this build queue item thing. So, change the numeric constructor. Don't really need that constructor, but item. So, but no, for whatever reason, if item is null, then just return null. Otherwise, return the item type to build. And then we'll rename the setter to set build queue item, and there we go. And so I'm actually yeah, I think that this is largely the same in logic. There's probably some differences, but for now I'm just going to comment this out to retain it for future reference. And I just want to see if it will just work the way I've got it going here. I want it to work. I don't want to spend a lot of time making it work. Alright. So why does this not... Oh, okay. It's just, I'm calling the wrong method name. So yeah, it needs to be add image button. I don't know why I necessarily used that nomenclature, but oh well. Okay, so yeah, I do need to dig out the old constructor. Okay, so basically that works except for the loop and the pause button. What I'm going to do right now is just comment out the loop and the pause button. I mean, we need them, yes, but I need to do this more than I need to do that. I've got a different, because the thing is, loop and pause buttons, it would be good actually to make them into icons. I just don't have the icons ready for them. But one thing at a time. Let's get this testable. So the next thing is to make this into a horizontal layout instead of a vertical layout. The nice thing is that that shouldn't, now, I'm using the word shouldn't, it shouldn't be a problem to just switch that over like that. We'll see how that goes. And now I need to change its position, so it needs to be yeah, we're going to change the alignment of the queue to, it needs to be before the tab menu and the type icon menu and the type menu. Right now the type menu is still used for the patterns. Hopefully we want to move those patterns to have their own icons too, but one thing at a time. So this is just saying, okay, this has got to be above each of these three, and if I use commas, it will not die on me instead of periods. Alright, let's just see what happens. I don't expect this to work especially well, but I'm at the point of wanting to know, okay, what did I break? Often the best I can accomplish with a computer is to get it to tell me clearly and unambiguously what I broke. And if I can get it to do that, I'm pretty much happy. Alright. So, hasn't crashed yet. I guess that's a good thing. Okay. Yeah, I'm guessing those are the build queue items. Kind of all stacked together. Not really in the right aspect ratio, which is kind of curious, because I basically copy and pasted that code. But, you know, hey, the buttons are there. If I alt-click, it will remove, you know, that I just did an alt-click, which is like the, just saying remove one of those from the queue, and it did. Now I'm seeing the bomber. If I left-click, I'll add... Yeah, so I had to alt-click twice after left-clicking it. So it added one, then removed two. Then if I alt-click that, okay, now the queue is gone. The game doesn't crash, no null exceptions. Hey, that's great. You know, click these again. They go back in the queue. Okay, so, you know, there's the problem with the sizing of the buttons and the overlapping of the buttons. So let's handle that. Sizing. Well, first let's do overlapping. Okay, yeah. part of the problem there is I was doing y's by negatives. I need to do x's by positives. Okay, so it wasn't actually overlapping the buttons. The other buttons were actually going to the left of the screen. They were going off the... they were falling off into the nothingness off the monitor. I was reading a... one of the error messages you may be familiar with. Error attempted to parse HTML with regular expressions. System returned Cthulhu. If you don't know what that means yet, you should go look that up. It's great. Don't try to parse HTML with regular expressions. No, of course, you can, actually. You just don't try to parse the whole thing. Just parse snippets. And usually, if you're that, you don't need regular expressions, so don't do it. Alrighty. So I think that should deal with the apparent stacking. So now what's going on with the size? I think I know what's going on with the size. I just did not do what I ought to do. I often do not do what I ought to do. Although that's a more general problem than what we're trying to solve here. Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff I was doing with the other one that I'm not doing here. We'll see if it works out. I think it probably should. Like specifically like how it deals with buttons that are no longer being used and what it does when you switch from one queue situation to another. So you need a different number of buttons, or it's a different queue, so you gotta kind of reinitialize the buttons. With a sidebar, which was the pattern that I copied for the build menu itself for the icons, with the sidebar, that gets complicated. Okay, so there's the queue. And so, yeah, this is kind of complicated, right? This is kind of confusing, because that looks like a menu of things you can build. That's why I had it over on the right side of the screen. I wanted it to be obvious, okay, this is not actually the menu. Right now, it looks just like the menu, unless you start opening up your own. You open up the menu, and there's the menu under the menu. Great. I guess I like menus, so it gave me some menus to go with my menus. And the thing is, they actually function very similarly. If you're just left-clicking, you'll just add more to the queue. One thing I need to solve here is that I've got to have some kind of indication as to how many of each of these are in the queue, which means text. And I don't know how to add the text to the image buttons. I mean, I know how. It basically means I need to rewrite it to have text support. And maybe it already does. We'll see. Just checking just beaming replacements to these squads here. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, we're going to do something with this queue thing. There are things that can be done. So, but the build queue itself is where I told it to be. It's doing what I told it to do. What more could I ask? Well, it could not, disappear when I open up a multiple. Okay, so this is a problem I need to solve. It's that the vertical size of the build menu itself is not updating with the actual number of rows, and so relative positioning code that relies on where the top of that part of the menu is, it just doesn't work. So, So yeah, the height is that. You know what? There's actually something I'm wanting to do here. And that's whenever you open the build menu, I kind of want it to have all the spots that it could ever have, vertically at least, just there. And just put blanks in them. But, you guys aren't going to you aren't going to let me get away with that. You'll keep saying it should not use more vertical space than it needs at any given moment. And you would be right. So, height per row. So, first we have to capture the height per row. I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be available to the constructor. So, first time. So on the first update, and so if height per row is less than 0, instance height per row is equal to instance height. Window height. Okay, good. Because the initial height of the window is the height of one row, which is why it works well when it's only one row, and then if it's more than one row, things get weird. So, so let's do this. Highest row reached. It's going to always be at least one row high, so I'll do that. So row reached equals 0. So yeah, the mark is going to be yeah, there's some continues here. So these aren't getting drawn. And although yeah, because it's going to be the highest. It's going to be the highest mark index. So highest row reached equals max highest row reached and mark index. Mark index plus 1, because I think mark index would just be 0. Yeah, for the first one. We won't need this variable after all. Okay, so instance window height equals height instance height per row times highest. Okay, that should do it. Let's see if it did it. I mean, there's a number of different reasons that come to mind where it could just not be doing this one hot work, but here's hoping. Alright, so there, well, nope. So it wasn't so simple. Alright, Okay, sorry. Alright, so why is that not enough? I'm guessing it's because it's not adequately refreshing the positioning of other windows. I thought that the relative positioning was happening fairly frequently because it wasn't nearly as complex and CPU intensive as when we were letting Unity do the auto positioning, or weren't so much letting it as it was doing it, whether or not we wanted it or not. Okay, that's not what I want. Okay. So here we are, the universal DLL. Okay, position and size all elements. Is that where I want? Is that where this is happening? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I see. It's actually happening here. Because the position and sizing all elements is more of the old positioning. Any window changed active state since last positioning. Well, I can test real quick to see if that'll help, because that is triggering more of this. Although, did I wind up even making much use of this? I don't know that I did. There was some extra stuff I had to do at one point. So I will test that. But this is the main thing, and I think it's happening every time. Okay, so... You can see I've been here before. Yeah, so I want it to give me the debug information whenever it's moving the queue around. And I can just test it now for just whatever debug information I already had there, and it should be sufficient, at least to give me a clearer idea of what's going on. Yeah, UI positioning isn't much fun, but it's very useful when it's done right. Yeah, it's cranking out the debug info back there. 1, 3, 2. Okay, so that should have captured enough of it. Problem is it generates so much of it that it's hard to filter through. Yeah, I'm not sure how I would tell where in this morass. Okay, so it starts negative 4.6, which probably means it's not being used. And so there's a transition to 86.4. So yeah, it's before 86.4. Because now that window below it exists. And then the 86.4 actually goes to 81.8, which would be higher up the screen. Yeah, that would seem to reflect a higher position. And then back to 86.4 when back to 81.8. Yeah, so I think it was going up when the type menu was open, but not going up when the type menu was expanded. I think I know what the problem is. I think the window is actually properly expanding. It's expanding downward, not upward. And I don't think that's helping at all. So, so float current expansion is equal to instance window height minus instance height per row. So how high is it compared to where it should be? So float target expansion is equal to both of these are, we're ignoring the first row. So if current expansion is not equal to target expansion, then float delta expansion equals target minus current. Instance window X. Okay, how do I change the position? Alignment. It's complicated. Offset is. So if I want to go up, I actually want to subtract, because that's just the way that the y-axis works. And the height will be so float target. And yeah, let's just do that. Alright, so that will move it up or down, depending on which way the expansion is changing. And then we'll set the height properly. That's the idea. And let's with this. Yeah, I'll leave the debug code for the window alignment the way it is, because I was gonna say, like, okay, don't dump tons and tons of debug information when the game's not even running. When I'm not when I'm not in a game, but sometimes I'm debugging windows that aren't in the game. So. Alright. This is getting kind of annoying. So the time of 81.8, the time of 86.4, whatever. So I don't know if I have the mental energy for this right now. But I gotta get it done. So, and we'll go ahead and yeah, I don't actually have the ability to cast it to the concrete types here because they're not defined in this assembly. Pardon me. So, if I can't even reference stuff in core. This is very, very universal code. In this way, as I could reference what I want to reference, but it'd be nasty. I'll skip the initial bit. Where the game's not loaded even. So where's the before related? So I use the same debug information I used for after related. I didn't really have as much trouble with before related previously. Try to get the debug name of the window in there. Oh. Control. Get type. Yeah, that's what the type of controller. Alright. Just another related window one. So okay, there's the container. Is that what I'm adjusting? Yeah, I'm changing the subcontainer. Alignment. Y alignment. Offset. Okay. Yeah, I know this is probably not the most interesting stuff, and I'm be kind of surprised if any of you are really still watching for all this. But some of you may find it interesting. Alright. Okay, so yeah, we gotta ignore the situations when it's just the tab menu. We care about when it's the icon menu. Yeah, so there's nothing. There's the tab menu, there's the icon menu. It's a curious pattern. That's not really a number. So how did it achieve that? I still don't see how that could produce quite that pattern. But, out of space there. Yeah, I don't know where we got the dot to lead there. The offset is just a float value. It's not doing anything bizarre with the two-string. So controller type name, the related min value. And the offset. I wonder if I got the offset in the right units. Looks like the offset is staying the same at 40. Oh, it's doing 86.4 and then 00. So, yeah, so the offset is staying at exactly 0.000 whatever the whole time. And it really should be doing something else. This is a very temporary message here. Current expansion going to target expansion. equals to delta expansion. And so delta expansion is not 0. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. It's long, this particular reference. So this whole thing became more complicated than it really needed to be, but I'm not sure if it was really any more complicated than it needed to be. It's just more complicated than it is. And then I like it to be. And we'll show the result. So I get the feeling that code's just not doing what I'm thinking it's doing, which is not the same thing as it not doing what I told it to do. That's often the case with programming, as it does precisely what you told it to do. Precisely. Alright, okay. Let's take a look. Yeah, let's go ahead and search for a colon. Okay, so initially when the thing was being opened, how could it be 0? Oh, and 0 is correct. Yeah, so it's thinking that it's never expanding or contracting. Ever. Ever. Yep, so the reason that the code hasn't been doing what I wanted it to do is it's never happening. This delta expansion is never 0. It's always thinking that target expansion is 0. Which means it's always thinking the highest row reached is 1. So maybe I've got a different... No, this should be right. Yeah, it's like, this should not be this complicated. Hit buttons in column 0. Buttons in column. And the thing is, it's not plus plus though, because you can actually have things that are unlocked. So you can have things that are unlocked. So like, it's going to display things in their appropriate mark spot, even if the button's under the mark there. But we don't need to leave more vertical space for buttons above the highest one that's actually showing. So, that's, as far as I can tell, that's probably the thing to do. I don't see it that's really different than this. But, so, if buttons in column is greater than highest row reached, then highest row reached equals buttons in column. Should not be this hard. Oh well. I'll start with that and then add a little bit of debugging. So that's where the highest row is. And I'm going to temporarily disable the other, this thing here. I don't really want it spamming me with all that stuff when it's clear that the primary problem is here. There might be problems elsewhere. As a friend of mine liked to say, there can always be more than one thing wrong. But we'll start with the obvious. It's possible that somehow the logic I just wrote will actually change the behavior in a good way. At this point, I'm not going to complain, although I honestly wouldn't know why it would have changed, since it seems that the math is functionally the same. But the thing that disturbs me, okay, no, it didn't disturb me. It didn't work. The thing that disturbs me often with computers is not when they don't work. That's precisely what I expect. I forgot to use the right single line with that. I fully expect computers to fail to work. What disturbs me is when the computer works and I don't know why. Okay, highest row now 4. Yet somehow this is still 0. I get the feeling that this is not what I want it to be. So maybe it's getting set to 0 in an early update. So yeah, let's just go ahead and debug that too. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that the problem was it wasn't setting the height of the window to the right thing. That wasn't honestly what I was expecting. But no one expects the, well, you know. So before I spend all this time chasing this thing, and really it was just that I was setting the value like a frame or two too early. I don't know how it could have been getting updates when the value wasn't initialized properly. Oh well, we'll see. Yeah, it still doesn't work, so rest assured it wasn't quite that problem. Alright, so height per row is still 0 the whole time, so it's not getting set. So window height is 0. Window height is 0, really. So yeah, so it's 0 because I'm setting it to 0 down here because I'm using the wrong. This is ridiculous. Okay. I know I took a wrong turn somewhere. I should have been doing this in a more of a framework way or some simpler way. No, I chose sort of the middle complexity. Not so simple that it would be obvious why it wasn't working, and not so complex as to be a robust framework. Yeah, so this is how I spend my day, spending half an hour chasing down some stupid problem. It's still not working. Height per row still 0. So, I mean, what gives? Why is the window height 0? I mean, I set it over here in XML, right? Build key menu. Yeah, build type icon menu. Height there. Okay. Well, you know what? I don't really need the window height anyway. I just need so element. Height. Actually, specifically, I need button height. I don't even need the window height or the set height. Yeah, the height would be 1 on the set. Yeah, the sets are weird. I think they wouldn't even normally have a width and height, except it doesn't really work well with the schema to not have them. Yeah, so that's the button height. I mean, I'm using that later on, like right here. That's not 0. Okay, so in theory that should change things. We'll see. There are times when I just start thinking that the computer is completely ignoring me and it's just repeating itself. It's like, nope, I don't care what you change, I'm going to keep reporting the same value, and I really don't care. It's like, I think that what we have here is a failure to communicate. Really? Is that what we're going to do here? And by the way, it's still overlapping the thing, right? But I think I know what's going on now. So I probably don't actually need to be changing the alignment. I only thought I did because of the other bug. Because the alignment should be properly adjusting the top of the window. No, it's still not working. I don't like this. Alright. Yeah, it seems like the window height is not really making a difference, though. If it's starting off as 0, I mean, how is the window height 0? Let's figure that out. Well, for one thing, let's. So how's it getting the minimum value or axis on axis? Current absolute bounds. Get aligned bounds. Yeah, back where we started. So, I mean, apparently it's not even using window height, but how? How is it not doing that? So, new bounds. So where is it setting everything? Setting it to 0. There's the width and the height. So get length on axis. Okay, there for. Okay, this is the container, which is the width. Oh, okay. All right. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So, yeah, it definitely made things more complicated than they needed to be. No, I don't want to change that just yet. So let's just take a quick look at window height. It's like, what is going on here? And why do I have such apparently dead data? Yeah, okay, width isn't mentioned at all. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. I've got those fields sitting there, they don't do anything. You see, the XML was read into the sub container. Why did I still have those fields? Ah! So the XML is being used, it just wasn't being used for those fields. Okay, well, so we found that bug. I'm glad we found it. I mean, it's like no wonder things weren't working. in other areas. I'm not sure how much it'll fix by itself, but so yeah, we definitely want the subcontainer here. Alright, let's see what happens. Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter how much I keep changing the height of this window. You know why it doesn't seem like it matters? Yeah. Okay, there. And we'll just put your menu at some random height, you know. Why not? That's what you wanted, right? Looking at the data, though, yeah, it's at least changing the height to roughly the right thing. Yeah. It's progress, I think. So... So why is it not being properly aligned? In other words, why is it going too tall? It's been a long time since I was dealing with a problem in code where I got to the point of just wanting to walk away from it and deal with something else. But I'm kind of getting to that point here. And, yeah, a lot of it has to do with it being UI positioning code. It's the reason I don't usually do this. Alright, so... I mean, I guess in theory the problem is that it's stacking the elements at the top of the window instead of the bottom of the window, but the idea is for the window to be the right size, you know, so that the top and the bottom are the top and the bottom of the set. It doesn't matter whether it aligns it to the top or the bottom. Maybe the visual alignment is wrong. And maybe what I think is the size is not the size. Yeah, it has to do with this aspect adjusted. But the thing is, the height is not being adjusted. It's actually specifically avoiding adjusting the height so that the vertical arrangement of things can work. Now, of course, one of the difficulties is that the buttons are going up in negative space. So maybe that's what needs to stop happening. Now that's going to create a mirror situation, which I don't want, but yeah, because what I had been doing is I had basically a very short window with very little height, and I had the buttons actually going above the window. So I think they're continuing to go above the window regardless of how high I put it. So what I need to do is push the first buttons down, or like go in inverse order of mark or something, so that this layout is right. There we go. That was it. Oh man. I'm thankful to see that. It works, I assume. If I alt-click this, I mean, yeah. So, okay. There we go. I'm an idiot. It took me a long time to figure that out. So now I need to sort of unmirror that. So how we're going to do that? It seems like this should be a relatively simple way. One of the difficulties here is that you don't know how far down the bottom row needs to be until you know the top row. The top row is variable. It just depends on how many marks you got unlocked. Yeah, so this gets more into the realm of where it would be nice to have elements be able to have relative positions one to another, but I really don't have time to deal with that right now. So, yeah. I'd have to duplicate a lot of code to get it to tell me properly. So, let's see. Highest number of buttons in column 0. I'm just going to go with a straightforward thing here. This is not especially strange pattern. It's annoying to have to do. So, close max buttons. Okay. So we don't really need this one. think that'll do the trick. That's basically what that is, so... Let's see. Did I break it again? Okay, so that's the build queue itself, and so it's got the icons and moved to the left, and so yeah, we can take care of that last thing probably. This is already like an hour and 20 minutes long for this video, which means that very few of you will watch this. If you're watching this, hi Badger. I'm guessing you're probably the only one, but I'd like to be wrong, you know. But I do appreciate those of you who have... Okay, I did mess that up. Pushing it down too far. But looks like I just need to back off on the push down by 1 and it'll be fine. I do really appreciate that. Those of you who are really into this project. Okay, so... yeah, specifically it's this, where the -1 makes the most sense. Always off by 1, right? That's what they told us in computer science. Off by 1 errors. Okay, there we go. You gotta go ahead and put that in. Build menu, move back to left side of screen. And back to horizontal arrangement, but now on top of the build menu instead of under it. So let's see exactly where it was in Classic. Now, one thing I need to do is the loop button and the pause button. I got another idea for that. Let's do a double check here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, so there's some debug code I want to take out. Well, I'll leave what's in universal since it's already commented out. But over here, yeah. Just always remove all calls to these when I'm done with them. Yeah. This is more complicated than it needs to be right now, but I want to change it. Okay, that's all that was happening. Okay, so You want to grab that note and stick it in here. So back over here, got to move, put loop and pause button back in. Okay. And I'm actually, basically what I'm going to do right now is just make this a separate window, which I really don't like doing, but I feel that I need to do that. So, because it's text buttons and not image buttons and blah. Let's build two controls. Rather than trying to position it directly, I'll do this. So it should work fine. Okay, so I need to go to, copy the window, change the name, and kind of back up here a little bit. Change things back I changed a moment ago. Could almost go back into the SVN and grab something that I hadn't needed before. Or that was there before. We won't need that. Or will we? Yeah, I think we will need it. We may not actually need it. I'm going to go ahead and comment it out for now. I'll drop everything to do with the build queue itself. I'm going to go from negative on the y-axis to positive on the x-axis. We won't need some of that special rule stuff we had before. Yeah, actually, yeah, this is kind of weird. This is the way I'm doing this. It's really not necessary that I put things the way I have. So yeah, this is going to be offset 0. And the button heights will be as specified. And the offset will just be element. Well, we can use running X, that's fine. It's overkill. No, we don't need running X, we need running Y again. But it'll be positive, not negative. Okay. Now we're not going to have Q item. Those. And actually the Q itself will no longer have these classes defined, and the pause and the loop buttons. Nor does it evidently need the old Q item class. I can get them back from the SVN if I need them. No, yeah, it's nice to have the Q itself be 110 lines of code. I mean, not that it matters a whole lot, but it's nice when things feel relatively tight. Okay, I think that's what I want. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to move the stat display in the next video. We're already over an hour and a half here. Okay, some reason I wasn't getting up. Alright. Looks like it kind of stacked them on top of each other. Have I mentioned that UI positioning is difficult? Yeah, I think it seems to be working. Running Y equals size X. Yeah, that's really helpful. Seems like I should have. Oh, it probably what happened is it put it under the other buttons. Yeah. I make a lot of ID10 errors. ID10T errors. Otherwise known as PEBCAC errors. The problem exists between the keyboard and the chair. Okay, there's both buttons. Now the Q itself is gone. Yay. So I think I know why that is. And so what I'm going to do is just make this an absolute positioning for now and see if removing that related thing there helps. Because it should work just fine, but as we've seen today, the use of the word should is a load of malarkey. Where did the cue go, guys? Who took the cue? I must have made some other stupid change. Just gonna do a diff here, or what works out to a diff. So, okay, I removed a bunch of commented code. And I removed a bunch more commented code. And I took out a couple of classes that it wasn't using. How silly of me. I don't know, maybe the width is weird? I mean, just for testing purposes, I can put this back the way it was. You'll overlap the controls somewhat, but that's fine. Let's make sure there's not something that's making these conflict. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay. Oh, yeah. This is what it is. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's just flags that control how often things are refreshed, because we don't want these things refreshing like all the time, or it bogs down the game. Doing any kind of UI it costs way more processor than it should. So yeah, let's do the layout the way it should be done, more or less. Yeah, because so what was happening here is it was using the same variable as the queue itself for do I change anything. And so the controls thing would run, it would see, okay, I should update myself, it updates myself, it updates itself, and then it sets that flag to false. And so the queue comes along and sees, well, the flag's false, I don't need to update myself. Yay. Probably should have made those more self-contained. And now the commands thing is not trying. It's probably because I'm not setting it. That's what's happening. Okay. And now it's on a separate flag that's never being set. There we go. Yeah, there are better ways I could have done that. Friends don't let friends write bad code, right? Alright, this should be about it. Closing in on an hour and 45 minutes of video. This is what always happens when I work on the UI. Okay, so yeah, there's the looping. So you kill the looping, you see it pretty quickly burns through the queue. So okay. So it could be clearer about what the queue is, but it'll do for now. Okay, that's a relatively simple set of changes, and then it pushes the menu itself. Okay, well, I better kill it there, and then I'll do another video for the stat display, which will be more user interface. Yay!